it just took me by surprise of how I almost felt like lightning struck me, and it was like, this is it. This is the way for you to be able to share your passion with other people.
Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hey, Marvelous Moms Club. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm joined by a fellow podcaster, which is always like a special day for me when I get to talk to another podcaster. I don't know why, but it just is. It's like such a small community in my world, and to be able to like reach out and connect with other podcasters is just fun. So welcome, Briana Johnson. Briana. Yes.
You got it.
I did it. I have a sister named Briana, a sister-in-law named Briana, and I was like, I'm going to botch this. So
No, you got it.
welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Kirsten. I'm so excited. I'm exactly like you. It's so much fun to be able to chat with another podcaster.
Yes.
It's really fun so far.
I mean, honestly, it was like Christmas morning when I found your podcast because I was like, oh my gosh, another girl who's kind of got my same values and kind of got a really cool theme going on who's doing a podcast.
Well, you're a rock star, lady, so this is really fun for me.
Well, I hope it'll be fun. I know it's kind of like weird to be on the opposite end of the interview.
I have to say it's kind of strange, but hopefully it will turn out good.
It will. It absolutely will. So tell me about, so your podcast is called Life Beats Project, which I just love. And I feel like if I wasn't doing Marvelous Moms Club, if it wasn't focused on just motherhood, it's so similar. Like it's just sharing positive stories, uplifting, putting good stuff on the internet. So tell me your story and how that came to be. I know that's more of like a personal segue into your business, but
yeah, no, I would love to share. It's been quite a journey for me. I've had multiple businesses throughout my life. I was able to be a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. And even though I was a stay-at-home mom, that term stay-at-home, I mean, who really stays at home when they're a stay-at-home mom?
Nobody.
So, I had a lot of small businesses, and I was always pursuing projects and things. And so I enjoy doing that. And I feel like it's taken me a long time to figure out what I was really good at.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like mediocre, and I had passions. I had a sewing business. I taught yoga. I hosted crafting workshops. I've done a lot of things and I loved them, but I never really felt great at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was happy and kept going on with my life. But in 2009, my husband was diagnosed with a very aggressive case of multiple sclerosis, which for people that don't know what that is, it's something that is an autoimmune disease where your body attacks itself and eats away at the lining of your nerves. And so there's a variety of things that happen. And for him, it's really attacked all kinds of functions. The most debilitating is cognitively. And so it's been a journey since 2009, just dealing with that and a constant readjustment. And so I looked at my life and thought, I'm going to have to take over as the sole provider for our family. And it was a really scary thing to think, what am I going to do? I have a college degree and I loved my major. I majored in humanities and Spanish teaching, but I didn't really want to go back to traditional teaching. And so I kind of thought, what am I going to do? And so it just was a time for reevaluating. And as my husband's disease progressed, I turned to blogging. I'd been a blogger since 2007, and it was more just like a family blog. And I ended up, at one point, I was blogging like 5 times a week with crafting and family things. And I loved it, and it was really fun. But I wasn't sure where that was going to take me. And so as my husband was diagnosed, there were some really raw emotions that were going on. I'm sure you can imagine watching the love of your life really just, suffer and just start deteriorating before your eyes. And so I was pretty vulnerable and on my blog and really sharing things that were going on. And it became kind of like a pep talk to me where I'd have clarity when I'd sit down to write. And as I began sharing what was going on in my life, just something really beautiful happened. I started receiving messages on like Facebook or comments on my blog, or even people that I knew would stop me like in the grocery store and they would start telling me their experiences. And so it was a beautiful thing where out of something that was very difficult, my eyes were open to how extraordinary people are, and how everyone is going through something or has gone through something, and that's made them who they are and shaped their story, and how wherever they are on their journey, right where they are, they're worthy of inspiring other people's by the sharing of their story. And so I finally figured out what my passion was, and that was it. I just want to tell people how awesome they are. I want them to know it. And I thought, what am I going to do with that?
Oh my gosh. I love it though.
And so I developed the idea over years and years, really. And I went to Altitude Summit. Have you been to that conference before?
I'm so new to the world of
Oh,
blogging
yeah.
and all these amazing people.
Well, I wanted to go for years, and my husband actually surprised me with a ticket for Christmas.
Wow.
And last year, the year before last. And as I was there, I kind of was like, what am I doing? You know, here I'm having to provide for my family now. And I ended up getting a full-time job because we needed insurance. And so I started working at a bank, and it did what it needed to do, but it wasn't my passion. And I still had this, I had discovered what my passion was, which was, you know, sharing people's stories and telling them how incredible they are. But I didn't know what to do with it. So I went to this conference kind of with an open mind and an open heart of, okay, something inspire me. And I ended up sitting in on a podcasting roundtable, and it just took me by surprise of how I almost felt like lightning struck me, and it was like, this is it.
Yes.
This is a way for you to be able to share your passion with other people. And so things started piecing together, and it was really hard to kind of come up with a name. And so I coined the term life beats. And to me, life beats are those things that connect my story to use your story and your story to your neighbor's story. And there are those things that are those core things within each of us to be understood, to want to serve other people, to love, to want to reach our potential. Those kind of core things that really show us that we have more in common than we have different. And as we open up and share vulnerabilities with one another, it creates this beautiful connection. And that's what I want to explore through my project. So for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way, podcasting is kind of like the beginning. And I just have so many ideas of what I want to do, you know, events and retreats where women come, women can come and they'll go through this course that I'm creating. And by the time they leave, they will see themselves in a new way. They'll see how incredible they are, and they will give themselves permission to think well of themselves. I think we have this like negative mixtape, I call it, in your mind that you're constantly repeating those same negative things, and I want to help people break free from that. So that's kind of how it started, and so I'm excited.
I sense a collaboration coming on.
All right, let's do it.
I totally do. Like, there's like a physical buzz. I'm just like, oh, even the wording you use, like to break free. And that's what I say on this podcast, like to break out of mediocrity and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Yes. And that's because it's the same. It's just an awakening to life. And it's like this world has been swirling around you for your whole life. You've been hearing these things in Disney movies and uplifting books. And it's just words until all of a sudden you need it. And you need to rise above that. Like, I love how you even said it was just kind of mediocre. I kind of did this. I feel like that's how all of us start out. And I know I was there for 99% of my life as well. Always wanting to do more and always wanting to be a little bit better, but never kind of knowing what the magic thing was going to be.
Yeah.
And like, obviously for you, it was podcasting as well. Just sharing other people's stories. It's the most powerfully fulfilling thing. And people really ask me that you know, like, how can you do this many episodes, or how can you do that? I'm like, how could I not? It's so fun.
It really is. And I feel like it's a privilege to be able to give people a voice and to be able to share, and for the people that are listening to be able to be exposed to other people's lives and to see, you know what, they're doing it and I can do it too. You know, it's very empowering.
Yeah. See, I knew our missions were right in line with each other, which is so awesome. And
I love it.
I do too. It just makes, I don't know, it just shows you how much need there is for that good, those good vibrations in the world, you know?
Absolutely.
Music break.
Yes, I know. I love that.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I'm so sorry about your husband. I can't even imagine being in your shoes. But what I sense from you the most is such an air of positivity and just looking up instead of like looking down at like, why is this my life? Why am I in this situation? I'm sure you have moments like that where it's like, why
Sure.
me? But I just, even before I met you tonight, like speaking to you on a two-way conversation, just your whole energy is so uplifting, and I can just tell people around you, you make them happy. So it's good that you're doing a podcast and that you found that way to like channel that and share that goodness and that joy with other people. And it just shows everybody else, even in your own story, like you can still have joy in the middle of sorrow and in the middle of like hardship and trials. And even though life might be crumbling around you, you can still put together some of the pieces to make a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It makes me really happy that that's kind of the energy that's being put out there, because that is my intention, and that's what I want people to be able to feel, and that to be reflected in themselves.
Yeah.
And if they're seeing it in other people, and so they're able to see that in themselves. That's really what I want for others.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, I'm excited to see what we might be able to do together.
Yeah. Me too.
So tell me about your kids. We haven't even talked really about we know you're providing for them, but tell us about them.
Yes. So I have 5 kids.
Oh my
Holy cow, I have
gosh.
5 kids. So I know it.
It's like you just heard it for the first time from yourself.
Yeah, it's
like,
kind of crazy when you say it out loud. 5. That's pretty weird. But no, it's great. I was a mom of boys for a really long time. My first 3 are boys, and so it was all about Legos and swords and Vikings and pirates and all kinds of dirt and ooze and stuff. And I had fun doing that. And I really never expected to have a girl, but along came our 4th baby, which was such a blessing. So my oldest 3 right now are 14, 11, and 9. And then our girl Felicity came. And yeah.
Did you know this? I've not made this connection. My daughter's name is Felicity.
No, are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. Oh my gosh.
I love it. Yeah. So my Felicity came, and the first thing I said when the doctor delivered the baby was, "Is it really a girl?" I did not believe, even through my whole pregnancy, I was like, "There's no way I'm having a girl."
Well, yeah, because when you're 3 for 3, like on boys, you just don't believe you can actually make a girl.
Yeah, I just didn't think I would have a girl, but yeah. So Felicity came along. That's so fun that our daughters' names are the same.
Oh my gosh. That makes me want to cry a little bit.
And so Felicity came, and we thought our family was complete, and my husband's disease just kept progressing, and I ended up, like I said, I ended up going to work full time when he wasn't able to work any longer. And 2 months after I started working full time, our whole family had the stomach flu, and I just thought, man, I really have the stomach flu for a really long time. And 3 months into it, I found out that I was pregnant, and it was insanely crazy. And seriously, talk about a miracle baby. Like, there is like 1 in a million chance that we could even have another baby. And we had Evelyn came. She's our 5th baby. She's a little girl, and she is just a joy. But it was an emotional roller coaster for me to become pregnant. Unfortunately, my first reaction was not one of grace. It was one of fear, really.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a very religious person, and I just thought, okay, God, you've given me all kinds of things that's happening in my life. Are you really sending me a baby?
Are you sure?
Sure. And I think the hardest part for me was I loved being able to be a stay-at-home mom with my other children, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to raise this baby like I did my other children. My fears were she's not going to know me. I'm going to have to leave her every day. And then how is she going to be taken care of? My husband's really sick. Is he going to be able to take care of her? So all this fear just came, and it took me a long time to be able to experience the joy that really should come from feeling like you're bringing another baby into the world.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was able, it was very prayerful. And I talked to a lot of people who were happy for me, and that always helped when other
Mm-hmm.
people expressed their joy and also their reassurance. And so, yeah, so there was a moment where I was like, okay, this is going to be fine. God knows what he's doing. and
Yeah.
and I just accepted it, and I just began to enjoy it. And she truly is a little angel. She is the best baby. She loves me. And not that my other kids don't, but it was different. Like, I don't know about for you when your husband was at work and he came home. For me, all our kids like surrounded dad, and they just loved when dad got home. And that's what I get to experience now.
Yeah.
When I get home, all my kids are excited, but my little Evelyn, her little legs are kicking and she just lights up. Or if she's on the floor, she'll crawl straight to me, and she just is filled with so much light to be with mom. And it really fills my heart and my soul to be able to have this little baby in our lives. So there's
Wow.
the answer to your question of tell me about your kids.
Oh my gosh, that was the best answer I've ever gotten when somebody asked me about their kids. Honestly, I just have to tell you, like, I was actually getting emotional as you were speaking there at the end, because it's just like how you share this, that when you share people's stories, it's so amazing. And it is something happens at some point in them sharing their story, you just fall absolutely in love with them. And I just fell in love with you hearing that. And I just think you're absolutely phenomenal. And like, really, I want to know you forever, because I think you're special, and that you don't get thrown things like that in life unless you can handle it. And that I know you're a strong person. And wow, I mean, you have 5 children, a husband with an illness, you're supporting your family, and you're doing a podcast to fulfill your creative passion. Wow. Like,
Crazy, huh?
oh my gosh. I mean, how dare you be amazed that I was doing daily episodes? Like, I'm
No,
amazed
that's
you're doing
amazing.
a podcast at all. It's so, so impressive. You
Well,
are.
thank
In
you.
overall, you're just a really, really powerfully wonderful, inspiring person. So I'm really glad that you're gracing my podcast with
Oh,
your beautiful
goodness.
story.
Oh, well, I really love being able to connect with people. That's really something that rejuvenates me. And of course, there's times where I retreat to myself. And like you said, there are definitely days that are very difficult and I want to give up or run away and not have to be an adult. But really, the connection that I feel with people, and for some reason, it's not an ability. I don't know what it is, but I am able to be able to connect with people and see people for who they are and their potential. And that's I think that's something that I've discovered that I'm good at. And all those other things I'm just kind of average at, but I'm able to do that. And so having my podcast is really what feeds me and keeps me going.
Mhm.
And it's part of it kind of is kind of my me time.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I mean, before Ben, my husband, quit his job, the podcast was really like my time to have grown up talk, because you're home with kids all day. And I mean, you have a job at least, but it's still different. It's not like tea time. It's not a social hour.
Right.
You're at work.
Definitely not.
But the podcast doesn't really always feel like work. It actually never feels like work unless we're doing the dumb stuff like editing or show notes or
it's
something.
the edited part.
But the chatting with other people is the best. Like, for that reason alone, I say, like, everybody who's blogging or doing anything that wants a social media presence, just do a podcast, because it's so
Yes.
personal and it's so much fun to connect with people.
It is. Even if they just do like a series where they do like once a week for a month
Yeah.
and just have something like that, I think they would find how much that they loved it.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Wow. So when do you sleep, and when do you find time to do anything fun?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I'm not so great in the sleeping department. In fact, it's a challenge. I actually, I work at a really incredible company, and the culture of our company is all about the whole person, and they really want you to take care of yourself as a whole. So we had the 6-week fitness challenge, and I was on a team of 4 other guys, and you bet I was not going to be the weak link. You know, I was like, I'm going to be up to par or I'm surpassing you guys, because there's no way. So we had a really good competitive edge, and you got points every day for different things. And one of the points, the hardest one for me, is you had to get 7 hours of sleep
Oh
every
my
night.
gosh.
That was torture.
Oh, I bet.
Weeks. I mean, my body probably was glad, kind of, but my anxiety of getting everything done and still sleeping for 7 hours was a really high.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, it was probably good for me. But yeah, I'm more of like a 4 to 5 hour
Wow.
sleeper. And but I have a talent for sleeping in the fact that, like, before my head even hits the pillow, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
So I'm out. There's no tossing and turning for me when I'm out. So I have concentrated sleep. Maybe I'm just like special. My 4 or 5 hours,
Yes.
like everyone else's 8 or 9.
Maybe. But I admire that. I applaud that. I wish I could survive on less sleep. My husband just today was like, "Why are you so tired all the time?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. I'm just tired all the time. I can't help it."
That's for sure.
Yes. Well, it's because we just moved and my kids are still getting used to their rooms and the environment, and they've been getting up in the night. I think there's no big deal getting like fewer hours of sleep, but if it's interrupted sleep, that's like the worst to recover from.
I agree with that. Yes.
So,
And it's
go
having
ahead.
fun. As far as having fun, that's a really good question. Right now, I love my podcast, and I love the connections. I live in Utah. I'm not sure. Where do you live,
I'm
Kirsten?
in St. George now.
Oh, you're in St. George. So I live more up in Salt Lake, and there is an incredible community of entrepreneurial women here. And I have really found that being around such a positive environment is very rejuvenating. So I'm able to attend different networking events and even dances and things that usually married moms don't get to do. And so I've really enjoyed that. And so I've really been able to kind of find the time to do that.
That's awesome.
And of course, being with my kids, being a kid, anytime I get to, do anything, like we just went to the river, and so throwing rocks and sliding down slides and things like that, I'm all for that anytime.
Yeah, I love that. I can sense that about you. You would be the fun mom.
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, anytime I get to be a kid is always good.
Well, and too, like, knowing that you are the sole provider, really, and that you have to work, like, you do cherish the fun time even more. You know, when you're with your kids, it's not like that burden where you're with them all the time and they start to drive you absolutely crazy. I'm sure sometimes they're still annoying when they fight with each other, but like, but you still enjoy the moment probably a little deeper than moms who stay home all the time.
I would definitely agree with that. And I worried about that a lot because I was able to be at home. And so now our time is, limited. But last week, I was able to take my kids to a soccer camp. And several of the soccer camp times I had to just drop them off. But one of the times I actually got to sit there, I was holding my baby and I was just watching my children enjoy themselves. And it was so relaxing to me, where I do not think soccer camp would have been relaxing to me. It was really a beautiful moment for me to watch them enjoy themselves and for me to just pause. I didn't have my phone. I just was able to watch them play.
Yeah.
And it really was a time where it's one of those moments where you pause and you think, please let me memorize this moment.
Yes.
You remember how I feel. Let me remember my thoughts and what was going on in the environment, and let me memorize this so that I can draw on upon it at a later time.
Yeah, I love that so much. I've never really had anybody else articulate that before, but that is something that happens as just a human being, not even just a mom, where you're like, oh my gosh, please forever remember this moment. Like, it's not even anything a picture could do justice. It's just the most special, like when everything just is perfect around you. Yeah,
and I think for me, I really try and allow my senses to be heightened. Like, I think about, okay, what am I hearing? Even like you're hearing, you're seeing, the smells, like what does it feel like? I think those are the times that I am able to really memorize things and to be able to recall them.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so I don't think you probably do have much time for reading, do you?
Oh my goodness, this is my goal for 2016. I want to be able to read. I am such a firm believer in self-development. I've been able to do, like I said, a lot of different businesses, and one of them I was able to participate a lot more for about 2 years. I did Nerium full time, which I love. Such a
Wow.
positive environment, and I was able to read more than I ever had during that time. And so my goal is to be able to keep that up with my crazy new life.
Yeah.
Um, but I just have such a firm believer in filling yourself with positivity and continuing to allow yourself to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting for me to be working in a full-time office environment because I've found that there are a lot of people that just become content in their life, and I totally feel that because I can find myself doing that, where they just get in that rut of waking up, going to work,
Mm-hmm.
coming home, eating, maybe vegging out a little bit and repeating it. And if you're not intentional about setting aside time to develop yourself by reading new things, it could easily fall by the wayside, and you become stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want that for myself. So I'm in the middle of a book called it's by Sean Aker. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
You have to check him out. He's amazing. And the book's called Before Happiness, and it talks about there are skills that you can learn that will help you to change your perspective to be able to feel and experience more happiness in your life. And I love it because it's practical things. It's not just philosophical, which I can enjoy philosophy as well,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actionable things that you can do. So I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Ooh, I like that a lot. I feel like I get stuck sometimes reading too many business books, and it's
Yeah.
nice to have a switch, something a little bit more along those lines. So I'm definitely going to go add that to my Audible as soon as we're done chatting.
Great. Yes.
Yes, that's like, don't you feel like that's kind of the only way it's really possible to read anymore with kids?
Yeah. Just absorbing it by listening. And that's why I love podcasting. It's so accessible
Yes.
to everyone. They can just be going about their lives and being able to be filled with goodness while they're doing everything else.
Yeah, it's a good multitasking tool.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I feel like I could talk to you for days on
I could
end
see
and
you for days as well.
and barely scratch the surface of all the great things that you're doing in your life and just the amazing person you are. But if we had to sum it up with one thing that makes you marvelous, what makes you a marvelous mom?
Goodness. I love that you asked me that kind of in the email. So it gave me a chance to think about it. And I think not necessarily me myself is something that I've been able to perfect by no means, but
Mm-hmm.
something that I've been trying to focus on is accepting the goodness that is in myself, accepting me for me, and accepting that there are things that I am good at. I think that is a difficulty for women just in general to think, you know what, it's okay that I'm good at something. And I think by accepting that there are good things about you, you free up this mental space in your mind, and you're able to let go of things, that maybe are clouding you. And so to be able to just think, I am doing the best that I can. I just one silly little thing about me is I love style and fashion. Like, it's fun for me to express myself through what I wear. And so I try to instill that in my kids as best I
Mm-hmm.
could. And there were certain things that I'm like, okay, guys, you have to make sure this goes with this, and no pajamas during the day or whatever. Just like silly things that I did and that I thought was like, okay, I'm helping them.
Yeah.
Have their own style, but really I was just like, okay, this is what you could wear.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been interesting for me. A lot of times my daughter's clothes are just her own personality, and my kids are walking around in their pajamas or whatever. My daughter's hair is not done, and it's just one little silly thing, but I've had to let go of it because it was clouding. I felt like, okay, a good mom would make sure that her daughter's hair is brushed and done.
Yes.
Good mom is somebody that makes sure her kids' clothes match or whatever. I just had this preconceived idea in my mind of something that I had held on so tightly to. But now that our life is very different, I've had to let go of that. And it's really freed up this space in my mind to be able to see the good things around me and to be able to just let go of those. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I would say is that I think a marvelous mom is somebody who accepts that they're doing the best that they can and there are good things about them. And I think that that will kind of allow other good things to come into their life if they can just kind of let go of those other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly well said. That's so true. Everything you say, I could just sit here and nod and nobody needs my audio.
Your show every day. You're making me feel really good about myself.
But it's all true. I'm not puffing it up at all. Like, I'm seriously I just love you. I think you're wonderful. And I'm so grateful that I was drawn to you. Because I think that you're just, how many more adjectives can I think of? Amazing, marvelous, terrific, splendid. So thank you for spending the time. I know you have obviously a really full schedule, so I really appreciate you taking time to be on here.
Honored. This is the first time I've been a guest.
Yay!
So this is great. I love it.
Good. Well, I hope it's the first of many because you need to share your story all over the place, not just on your own podcast.
Thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate it. And I really admire you for what you're doing and for just jumping into life. You know, I love that you're just really, you and your husband together are just like, we can do this. And you're just jumping in and doing it. And I really admire you for that. So
thank you. We'll have to have you on our other podcast. We'll line that up when you have another like 30 minutes to chat with us over there because you've got a great perspective that I think everybody could use. So thanks, Briana. Oh my gosh, Briana. I halfway said it. Briana. And for the rest of you guys listening, we will see you on the next episode. Have a great day.
See you later.
Are you interested in the idea of starting your own podcast? I can tell you exactly how to do it step by step in 7 days. That's right, 7 days to a podcast. Go check it out right now at passiveimpact.com to get started on your very own podcast.